if you really knew that every challenge you faced would make you better, wouldn't it be different the way you face the challenge? We concentrate so much on the challenges and we don't concentrate enough on the lessons, because it's that challenge that makes you learn. Now I know for a fact that I have total control of my mind. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't have that, that communication of identifying your passion, what I now call your superpower. Nobody communicated to me that there was one unique thing that I could do. But like I say to everyone, when you wake up is your morning. If I was to say what has shaped and defined my life up till today, I think the first fundamental story would be being born a girl into a home where girls were surplus to requirements. So I was the fifth child of 7. The seventh eventually came a boy, so it was clear my mom just kept having girls. And by the time I came along, I clearly, wasn't wanted. I always joked, my sister before me, her name is Desola and my name is Bisola. It was like, they couldn't even be bothered to think up an original name. So I think those feelings of being a girl, really learning from a very young age that a girl wasn't valuable, a girl wasn't to be desired. As a boy, I remember when my brother finally came along, there was a lot of singing, we're all dancing around the house, so I think my feminism came from that, and growing up and realizing that I was just as valuable as any man and there was nothing inferior about me in any way. So now I'm a very fierce feminist. I don't agree that, you can edit this out, but I don't agree that a penis makes anybody more special than another one. So I think that was my first defining event. And growing up, I learned that you could communicate to a child that their worth was as a result of what they did, because my parents really only paid attention at report time. So I learned to excel, to prove my worth. And then, I realized that you're worthy. That's why I do what I do today. You're worthy irrespective of what you achieve, irrespective of what you get. You're worthy because God made you unique, infinite. And I realized that a lot of women, are given these subliminal messages as they're growing up, and that defines us. What we call imposter syndrome and all those things is because from a very young age we get all these very subtle communications that we're not quite good enough, we have to earn our worth and so on. So I grew up and went to school in Lagos, and went to secondary school in Ibadan, and that was another story, going off to boarding school. And I wasn't visited by my parents in my 5 years in secondary school. And when I put my children in boarding school and a visiting time, I'm the first one there. I realized how these things can really make a difference in one's life. So I feel like I've come through various crises. I mean, I was reading David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, and it makes anything I face growing up like pale into comparison. I mean, I think that is a childhood struggle. So I didn't have that, it wasn't that bad, but it was a difficult childhood. It was an unhappy childhood. And then I went off to school and I excelled a lot. I went to LSE, one of the best universities in the world. And another thing that defined my growing up was I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't have that, that communication of identifying your passion, what I now call your superpower. Nobody communicated to me that there was one unique thing that I could do, extremely well, that, I could nurture that talent. So that's another reason why I do what I do now. So I was going to become a surgeon because I was really good at all the subjects. Remember, I had learned I had to excel. So I did really well. I was quite a bright child. So I started off, I wanted to do medicine in Unilag, and then I realized I hated chemistry, and I ended up, like going to the arts, and eventually I chose economics because I felt it was right in the middle between the arts and the sciences. So I studied economics at the LSE, and then I finished. I didn't know what to do. I decided to become a chartered accountant because I could stay on in England. For that period, and I did that, and I became a chartered accountant, and I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I tried out various things. I tried out tax. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Auditing, I hated. And eventually, one day I kind of accidentally fell into a place where I had to talk to colleagues at work, my junior colleagues at work, about something. And I organized this seminar for them. And I remember it was something about taking responsibility. And everybody was like, wow, amazing. And that's how I fell into personal development and then fell into HR. But I never really recognized that what it really was I was a coach. I was a born coach, and I was really created to help people develop and get to their best selves, which is really what I believe defines me now. Got married, had 3 amazing children, Fisayo, Emai, and Timoni. And I tell my friends I'm done now. My children are all graduated, they're all adults. And so now I'm reinventing, rebirthing myself and bringing up myself and looking after myself. I run HCDC, which is a human resource consulting firm. And I also have my coaching, Abi Longe, and the Worthy Woman Club, which I'm extremely passionate about and proud of. I found Jesus Christ. I really wasn't resilient early on. At some point, I attempted suicide when I was about 20, and luckily I didn't succeed because things just became overwhelmingly depressing for me, and I just couldn't see, I couldn't see any future. I couldn't see myself going on with such a miserable life. So for me, it really wasn't anything that I did. It was I found Christ, and that has completely defined my life. So developing that relationship, finding the Lord as my father, as my personal father, really transformed. And then getting into personal development and just growing and learning and reading and listening has been amazing for me. I think my greatest frustration is that women just don't realize how much power they have. I think the fact that women think they need to take permission for everything, for their lives, it's almost as if, we feel and we really believe, a lot of women, that we're second class. And as a result, I, I get this funny picture in my mind where men at the end of the day get together and they laugh and they think, ha, those people don't know. If only they knew how much stronger they were, we wouldn't get away with all this. If you advertise a job with 10 criteria, if a man meets 2, he will apply. If a woman meets 8, she won't apply. If you really want a job well done, sorry guys, you really give it to a woman. Look at Germany. Look at the countries that are run by women. So for me, it's everywhere. In business, women are scared. We don't want to go out there. A man has big vision, he will just go and do great big things, and we keep thinking small. But for me, the most irritating is how much we spend as women on things because we think things will somehow complete us, somehow make us better. So a woman will spend, 100,000 naira on a weave, and she won't spend 2,000 naira on a book that will develop her inside. So it's a journey. I mean, for every woman, it's a journey. I mean, like I said, even till today, there are things I would do and I would stop myself and say, why you're more than that. That's one of my favorite phrases. My dream, my vision, my passion for the Worthy Woman Club is encapsulated in this video. I don't know if you've seen this video, acted out by Mr. Macaroni and Toke Makinwa, where this guy comes up to this woman and he goes, give me your account number, give me your account number, fine girl, blah, blah, blah. And then he puts, I think, 1,000,000 naira in her account. And she goes to him, give me your account number. And she puts 10 million in his account. My vision, my dream is that women will unveil their worth, their power, their financial freedom. The women will realize, who we are and get to a point where we can support each other. There's this narrative, women bring each other down, women don't support women. It's just not true. So the Worthy Woman Club is there to really change that narrative, to help women come together, build assets. Enough with spending all the money on diamonds and weaves and, things that are just not going to appreciate in value at all. You're beautiful enough. You don't need that 10th weave, woman. You're okay. So that's really, so the Worthy Woman Club really brings women together. It's a very supportive community and a global but close-knit. So we're going to have pods of women. So you have your sisters within this huge community. For me, if you hear a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. And for me, that's really what the Worthy Woman Club is about, breaking those myths about women and money. So you hear women really love money. If you're toasting a woman, you just say money. So there's this picture of women as it's almost a kind of prostitution. Even the Bible says money answereth all things. So as long as you can tell a woman you're strong, you're powerful, you can do anything, you can conquer the world. If you can separate her from money, then she's powerless. Yes, there's so many stories of women who have brought up amazing children. They kept the home together, and then a man comes home one day with a young woman, and there was a particular woman, she wrote a book. She begged to move to their boys' quarters to bring up her children. The man moved another woman into the house. But, you are a bad woman if you want to have your own money. Why don't you stay at home and look after the children and be a good woman? Yes? Be a good wife. A good wife shouldn't have her own money. Where did that come from? It's the way, haven't you heard how they're always talking about women and cooking? A good woman cooks. Who are the best highly paid cooks in the world? So for me, I'm a very deep thinker. And so why all of a sudden, when we're talking of cooking, in the context of money, in the context of profit, in the context of independence, it belongs to men. But when you're talking about cooking in the context of subservience, in the context of unpaid, in the context of powerlessness, it suddenly belongs to women. The myths, the narratives, same thing. A woman is young, you give her a doll and a comb. This is your work. Comb Dolly's hair. And then a man is a boy. You give him a piece of machinery, piece of equipment. Drive that car. Go and conquer. So it is important that women do not listen to other people's stories or narratives about who they are, and they realize they can be anything they want. Whatever you want, you can be. And that really only happens when you have financial freedom in this world. My parents got separated when I was fairly young. So I grew up in a household full of women. And the only male we really had in the household was my last brother, who was the youngest. So I grew up not seeing as a fact that you needed a man to do this, or as a woman you couldn't do this, or because my home functioned beautifully. My mother is an amazing, strong, she's in her late 80s, she's on her laptop, on her desktop, working every day. So I grew up around very strong, capable women. So I didn't live that false narrative. I wish I knew that all those challenges were stepping stones. We don't learn when we're young that these challenges are stepping stones. If you really knew that every challenge you faced would make you better, wouldn't it be different the way you face the challenge? We concentrate so much on the challenges and we don't concentrate enough on the lessons, because it's that challenge that makes you learn. Now I know for a fact that I have total control of my mind. I have total power to make my decision about what I want to achieve with my life. If I knew that those challenges were to make my mind stronger, to make me stronger, to make me a better person, wouldn't you look at challenges so differently? So, like Oprah says now, when I face a challenge, I just look for, what's this teaching me? What do I need to do better? What haven't I done? In what areas do I need to get better? So that's the first thing I would tell my 20-year-old self. The other thing I would tell her is, don't mind them. You can be whatever you want. Don't take permission from anybody to do anything. If there's one thing I love most about the way I've brought up my children, they don't ask for permission. In fact, I've learned from my children, they don't ask for permission. They do what they want to do, when they want to do it. And, embrace that personal power. Having a life partner is beautiful. Being in the right marriage is glorious. But before that, be yourself. Be your full self. Be your wholesome self. Don't ask for permission. And please don't end up with somebody who wants to make you a slave and wants to control you, because that's not what a proper partnership is. A proper partnership is interdependence. I think people that got really close or that get really close are quite surprised at how soft I am on the inside, because I appear very fierce on the outside. So I think that probably will be the biggest shock, how vulnerable, how soft I am. I cry quite a lot. Oh, wow. You did not appear that way. I think that would probably be the most surprising thing. The other thing is how much, probably how much fun I am and I have. I really have fun. It always gets better. It always gets better, no matter how bad it looks. I think one of my favorite quotes is, the power of the decision far outweighs the power of the damage. So no matter where you are, no matter what has gone wrong, once you make that decision that this is how I want my life to be, and you design that life that you want for yourself, and you're patient, and you just keep going, keep walking to that destination that you want to get to, you will certainly get there. You will rise no matter what. You're welcome. This is amazing. Thank you.